Good morning. The Prime Minister said that the government is concerned over the recent increases in the price of consumer goods and is committed to ensuring that this is addressed quickly. To achieve this, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said he will chair the meeting of the National Action Council on Cost of Living soon. And that's to get a clearer picture of the price hike issues from the relevant ministries. He said this in his posting on Facebook. The Prime Minister said the government wants to ensure that this is done for the benefit and well-being of the Malaysian family. Previously, the public have urged for the government to intervene and control the price of goods, especially after the Malaysian Maximum Family Price Scheme will come to an end on February 4th. The government should also monitor unlisted products such as dry goods and clothing, which are expected to rise this year. In the last few months, the government has been hit by an avalanche of complaints from the people on rising prices of essentials. For Federation of Consumers Associations FOMCA and Consumer International President Dr. N. Marimutu, the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry can do much more to bring down the prices, as promised. Speaking to TV3's flagship business program Money Matters last Saturday, he said enforcement to keep tabs on prices of consumer goods has to be consistent.
We can see that it's only, what we can say is that they are active during Hari Raya, when we Chinese New Year,
Festival,
Diwali.
Christmas, yeah.
They are more like a festive ministry. They are not a ministry as a whole. During festive, they are just trying to show that they're doing something. But it had to be continuously enforcement. Enforcement cannot be sometime. Enforcement must be always.
He pointed out that surveys have been conducted by various bodies which point to the root problem.
I think so. MyCC, the Malaysian Competition Commission, they did a good finding in 2019. They told the prices are very high due to the middleman.
Okay.
So the finding is there. It's been done by the government agency. The government agency reported. But what is the continuous action? That the government of the day have to make things happen.
Expecting food prices to soar after the Chinese New Year festival, the FOMCA chief also stressed that there is a dire need for a combined effort to address the rising prices of consumer goods.
Sometimes the ministries, they are looking after their turf. So that's the whole problem in Malaysia, because no one wants to encroach in other people's turf. So they had to work as a whole team. That then only we can make sure that the prices, we can have check and balance on prices.
Last month, the Prime Minister had said that prices of essential goods are expected to stabilise and recover by early this year, when most countries reopen their borders, allowing economic activities to slowly return to normal. He explained that the price increase came about because borders at several countries were closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent movement control order, which prevented Malaysia from importing the essential items needed. He also said that the government had introduced various measures to alleviate the burden faced by the people following the hike in essential goods prices, and that the government will always look into ways to help the people by prioritising their interests, as the government does not want them to endure hardship or suffer. Malaysia and Indonesia have agreed to implement the one maid, one house policy, where an Indonesian domestic helper can be employed to work in a household of not more than 6 people. Following a meeting between Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan and his Indonesian counterpart, Ida Fauzia, this policy will replace the one maid, one task concept.
Perjumpaan hari ini saya lihat cahaya di ujung terowong di mana kedua-dua kerajaan Indonesia dan Malaysia ataupun Jakarta dan Kuala Lumpur dengan dalam keadaan ataupun asal yang sama, di mana membela nasib pekerja, imigran dan memperlindungi hak-hak mereka.
Malaysia and Indonesia also have agreed to a pilot project on the recruitment of 10,000 domestic helpers, which is expected to be implemented in a week after a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) is signed between both countries. The MOU on the recruitment of Indonesian domestic workers in Malaysia will be signed on February 7th and 8th in Bali. Another 10,000 Indonesian workers will be recruited. That marks the beginning of the recruitment of 32,000 foreign workers in the plantation sector through special exemption as decided by the Cabinet meeting on April 7, 2021. Datuk Sri Saravanan explained that the pilot project was significant to evaluate the effectiveness of the MOU implementation. He added that the implementation will be monitored by a special committee comprising representatives from both countries and further improve any weaknesses that arise. The Election Commission EC will hold a special meeting on February 9th to fix the dates for the 15th Johor state election. EC Secretary Dato' Ikmaluddin Ishak said in a statement on Monday, the meeting will discuss the important dates concerning the writ of election, nomination day and polling day. Dato' Ikmaluddin added the special meeting that will be chaired by EC Chairman Dato' Abdul Ghani Saleh, who would also discuss on the electoral rolls to be used and other preparations for conducting the election. He also said a media conference will be held after the meeting. The EC received the official notification on the dissolution of the 14th Johor State Legislative Assembly from the Johor Speaker on Sunday. According to Johor State Constitution 1895, a state election must be held within 60 days of the dissolution of the State Legislative Assembly. As for the police, they are ready to face the upcoming state polls, including mobilizing personnel from other states to ensure a smooth election process. Deputy Inspector General of Police Dato' Razaruddin Hussein said the police have sufficient manpower for the purpose and the deployment of personnel would be determined by the state police chief.
Sediaan keanggotaan yang mencukupi. Saya kira angkutan di daerah ataupun di kontingen tidak mencukupi, pihak Bukit Aman akan membantu, insyaAllah. So, tentang kesiapsiagaan itu pada saya lah, sebagai pegawai anggota PDRM memang telah maklumkan itu. Cuma mengatur gerak itu akan ditentukan.
The Deputy IGP also said that when police were informed of the dissolution of the State Assembly, he had personally spoken to Johor Police Chief Dato' Kamarul Zaman Mamat about the preparations. The Kuala Lumpur High Court has ordered Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi to enter his defence on all 47 of his corruption, criminal breach of trust CBT and money laundering charges. Judge Datuk Colin Lawrence Sequeira ruled that the prosecution had established a prima facie case against the former Deputy Prime Minister. Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid is standing trial on charges of money laundering and CBT involving millions from Yayasan Akal Budi and accepting bribes for various projects during his tenure as the Home Minister. 12 of the charges are for CBT, 8 for corruption, and the remainder for money laundering. A total of 99 witnesses have testified in the trial, which began on November 18, 2019. The judge said, after conducting maximum evaluation, he found that the prosecution has proven the ingredients of the CBT, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act, and money laundering charges. Datuk Sequeira said Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid has 3 options to conduct his defence. He can opt to give a sworn statement from the witness stand, where he can be cross-examined by prosecutors, give a statement from the dock, where he cannot be cross-examined, or choose to remain silent. Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid's lawyer, Hamidi Muhammad Noor, told the court that his client will give a sworn statement. The judge said that the accused is not entitled to immunity from prosecution on grounds that he truthfully disclosed all transactions related to Yayasan Akal Budi. Previously, Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid's lawyers had argued that he should enjoy immunity for providing information to the MACC. The provision, which was repealed on October 1, 2018, had stated that anyone who disclosed information or produced any document to the authorities would not be incriminated. The defence had contended that MACC officers recorded the defendant's statement between July 2nd and 3rd, 2018, in which he gave details on the setting up of the foundation, its sources of funds, and personal particulars of himself and family members. However, the prosecution argued that the immunity raised by Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid was an attempt to strike out all the charges. It said the defendant should have filed for a judicial review before the civil courts to determine if he enjoyed immunity from prosecution. The judge said that after considering the submissions, he found that there was no merit to this and the accused was not entitled for immunity. The court fixed the hearing for the defence stage to commence from March 28th. Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak will apply for Queen's Counsel from the United Kingdom to argue his appeal to quash his conviction and 12-year jail sentence and 210 million ringgit fine for the SRC International Sdn Bhd case in the federal court. According to Deputy Public Prosecutor Muhammad Ashraf Adrin Kamarul, the former Prime Minister's lead counsel, Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, informed the matter to Federal Court Registrar Siti Haja Mustafa during online proceedings on Monday. The DPP said the defence will write a letter to the federal court by Tuesday on their intention to apply for a Queen's Counsel from the UK to attend and argue on Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib's appeal. The court has fixed January 28th for next case management to determine the next step for the appeal. It is understood that the Queen's Counsel appointment will be on an ad hoc basis after obtaining admission from the Malaysian court. The court also fixed March 15th and 16th to hear Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib's appeal to adduce new evidence. On December 7th last year, the Court of Appeal dismissed Datuk Sri Najib's application to adduce new evidence in his appeal by ruling that he had failed to cumulatively satisfy Section 61 of the Courts of Judicature Act, that fresh evidence was required for justice in the case. On the next day, the same court also upheld the conviction and 12-year jail term and 210 million ringgit fine on Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib for misappropriating 42 million ringgit in SRC funds. On the same day, Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib filed a notice of appeal to the federal court. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Rosmah Mansur's money laundering trial involving 7 million ringgit was postponed after her lead counsel, Datuk Githan Ram Vincent, contracted COVID-19. High Court Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan vacated the hearing after the defendant's counsel Azrul Zulkifli Stork informed the court that the majority of the defence team, including Datuk Sri Rosmah, came in close contact with a COVID-19 positive case. The hearing on Monday was supposedly fixed to hear the defence applications to disqualify lead prosecutor Datuk Sri Gopal Sri Ram and also to recuse Muhammad Zaini as a judge. The court then vacated the proceedings and fixed February 3rd for hearing. When we return, police to use in-car radar and number plate scanners to detect offenders. Welcome back. The Royal Malaysian Police will for the first time be utilising digital in-car radar and intelligent compound online payment system or iCOPS to track down errant drivers on the country's highways and expressways. According to Deputy Inspector General of Police, Dato' Razaruddin Hussein, it will be used during the implementation of Ops Selamat 17 in conjunction with the upcoming Chinese New Year festival. The in-car radar technology would be used as a speed limit detection device to detect vehicles that exceed the set speed limit. Meanwhile, iCOPS will detect traffic offenders who have outstanding summonses and traffic arrest warrants.
Ada ni menentukan bahawa pemandu akan mematuhi jalan raya, tidak membawa kenderaan di tempat-tempat yang sepatutnya dalam 100 bawah pada 110 km untuk memandu dengan deras dengan apa semua. So mana-mana kalau iCOPS ini ada satu sistem ataupun yang mana kita boleh melihat kenderaan, nombor plate kenderaan, sama ada kenderaan itu mempunyai kenderaan itu telah didaftarkan sebagai kenderaan yang disaman dan waran tangkap telah dikeluarkan.
He said this in a media conference after officiating the Ops Selamat 17 at the Sungai Buloh Bridge restaurant northbound in Selangor on Monday. Dato' Razarudin said the operation will commence from January 28th to February 6th with the theme Safe Home, Safe to Destination. He added the North-South Expressway is expected to see a surge in the number of vehicles with up to 1.6 million vehicles during the Chinese New Year festival period. The figure is an increase of 17.4% compared to 1.4 million vehicles on normal days. In Selangor, a jobless man was charged in the Kuala Selangor Magistrates Court on Monday with murdering his mother. The 29-year-old Muhammad Azam Abdul Rasib nodded after the charges were read out to him before Magistrate Roslizi Sulaiman. However, no plea was recorded from the accused as the murder case was under the purview of the High Court. Muhammad Azam was accused of murdering his mother, Hamisa Ismail, aged 56, at a house in Pasir Penambang, Kuala Selangor on January 15th. The charge under the Penal Code provides for the death penalty upon conviction. Earlier, his lawyer Naim Mahmud applied to the court to allow the accused to undergo a psychiatric evaluation at any government hospital. The court set March 28th for mention of the case to obtain a post-mortem, chemical and forensic reports. In Negeri Sembilan, a 55-year-old housewife who allegedly stabbed her husband to death at their home in Rasah, Kemayan, Seremban 2 on Sunday is being remanded for 7 days from Monday. The remand order on the woman until January 30th was issued by the Seremban Magistrates Court Assistant Registrar Emi Suryana Muhammad Subri to facilitate the investigation. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code. In the 4:11 p.m. incident, the victim, a retired accountant, was found dead in the kitchen of their house after allegedly being stabbed twice in the chest and waist with a sharp object by his wife. Preliminary investigation found that the incident was triggered by financial problems. The couple has 4 children, with the younger two being witnesses to the incident. In Kuala Lumpur, heavy rain and thunderstorms on Monday afternoon uprooted trees in 5 areas. No casualties were reported. Roofs of stalls and residential units were blown away. 6 vehicles were damaged after being hit by falling trees, which also obstructed traffic. In Gombak, the affected areas included at the 8th mile heading to the International Islamic University Malaysia UIA. According to the Kuala Lumpur Fire and Rescue Department, the incidents took place at 4 p.m. near Sekolah Rendah Wangsa Jaya Section 4 in Wangsa Maju, Karak Highway before the Gombak Toll Plaza, Ampang Middle Ring Road 2, MRR2 Flyover, PSN Rejang Setapak Jaya and Jalan Padang Tembak. Firemen from the Wangsa Maju, Gombak Selatan, Keramat and Setapak stations had to be dispatched to clear the road. Still to come, Italy begins voting for next president with unclear state. Nightline. Onto the foreign front, the head of the World Health Organization, WHO, on Monday urged countries to work together to bring the acute phase of the pandemic to an end, saying that they now have all the tools available to do so. Speaking at a press conference, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said COVID-19 pandemic is now entering its third year and the world is at a critical juncture. He added all countries have the tools to end the acute phase of this pandemic. Thus, the tools must be used equitably and wisely. According to data, more than 71 million new cases of coronavirus were recorded over the past 4 weeks globally, while the US and France recorded the highest number of cases during that period, with 18.3 million and 7.6 million respectively. Yemen and Vanuatu have suffered the highest case fatality rates in the world throughout the crisis. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has ordered the Cabinet Office to conduct an inquiry into allegations made by Conservative MP Nusrat Ghani, who stated that she was sacked from her position, partly because her Muslim faith was making colleagues uncomfortable. Ghani, through her Twitter account, welcomed the new probe, saying all she wanted was for the matter to be taken seriously. According to Downing Street spokesperson, Johnson had initially invited her to begin a formal complaint process, but she did not take up the offer, arguing that the allegations centered on government rather than party work. Johnson, however, declined to say if the chief whip could stay in his job while the investigation was conducted. Meanwhile, the Muslim Council of Britain, MCB, said the Equality and Human Rights Commission should carry out a full inquiry into the party to determine if any breaches of law had taken place. The Italian Parliament will begin voting on Monday for a new head of state, with Prime Minister Mario Draghi among the leading candidates in a wide-open contest that will be closely monitored by financial markets. More than 1,000 parliamentarians and regional representatives will convene for the first round of secret voting to replace Italian President Sergio Mattarella. Draghi, who leads the National Unity Administration, has made it clear that he would like the 7-year position. However, there is a reluctance among some parties to support him, fearing that his departure will lead to political unrest and early elections. Besides that, there are concerns among politicians in Italy that the result could spark new political uncertainty in the Eurozone's third largest economy, which is facing a resurgence of COVID-19 cases and deaths. FC Porto tightened their grip at the top of the league standings. Sports up next. sports football, the Portuguese Primeira Liga, FC Porto tightened their grip at the top of the league following a 3-1 victory at home over Famalicão on Sunday. Porto took the lead in the 26th minute when Otavio fired home a well-struck first-time volley into the bottom corner. The Brazilian then set up Luis Diaz for the second goal in the 37th minute, before Mehdi Taremi made no mistake from the spot in the 78th minute to make it 3-0. However, the league leaders' hope of winning the game with a clean sheet was dashed when Riccielli tapped in the consolation goal for the visitors as the match ended with a 3-1 final scoreline. Porto have won their last 9 games across all competitions and are now 6 points clear of Sporting Lisbon at the top of the table. And on to tennis, the Australian Open, Felix Auger-Aliassime set up a quarter-final meeting with US Open champion Daniil Medvedev as the Canadian 9th seed came from behind to beat Marin Cilic in a 4-set thriller on Monday. It was not the best start from Auger-Aliassime as he lost the first set 2-6 at the hand of Cilic before he battled his way in the second set to win it 7-6. The Canadian then kept his momentum in the remaining sets as he closed out a 6-2, 7-6 win to march into the quarterfinals. Following the win, he will now join his compatriot Denis Shapovalov in the last 8, and this will be the first time that 2 Canadian men to have reached that stage in Melbourne. That's it for Nightline this time around. Over in Jiangsu province, China, a suite with a tiger view was built in a hotel in Nantong City where guests can sleep right next to the predator's den. Inside the room, a bed was placed beside the tiger's enclosure, which is separated by a glass barrier. Let's take a look. I'm Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe.